Hi guys, we're going to do some jelly printing using the gelatin plate that I just recently made. I've taken the cover off, so whilst it's been sitting in this container, it's had its cover on. It hasn't come out, so we're going to see if we can get this removed. Ideally, you'd use a warm knife. I'm just going in cold and we're just going to see what we can do. Now I'm going to just try and skim round the outside. Obviously it's waited 24 hours in this particular tray, and I'm not anticipating it to be the easiest thing in the world, but we'll get there. And I'm using the back of the knife, I'm not actually using the sharp section, I'm just running it all the way around the outer edge. And what we're going to try and do is, in a second, ease it out without me trying to damage it too much. So there we go. I pretty much run the knife all the way around, because I know you're going to struggle as well. You've got to face this at some point if you're going to make your own gelatin plate. Now the next thing we've got to do is try and get this out as best we possibly can. So I'm going to walk it out with my fingers. It's coming, so carefully placing my fingers underneath, slowly walking it out, so it's just coming into my fingers, and this way I can see how successful A, the tutorial was, and B, how this plate went. Right, so there we have it. There's the one out of its little thing. It's tacky, it's sticky. What I've got here is, in my case, I've just got a sheet of glass. Ideally, if I had a piece of perspex, that's what I'd like to place it on. So it's sitting on a mat. And what we're going to do is literally lay that on our glass, trying to make sure there's no bubbles underneath. Don't really want any air pockets, because that's going to raise the surface if we get any air pockets. So there we go. So we've got our gelatin plate down on a piece of glass on this mat. I've got some acrylic paints, and these are cheap acrylic paints. So nothing spectacular. These have just come from my local Wilkinson's, and these are acrylics. I've got a little jiffy cloth, some water in a bowl. I've got a brayer and something to run our paint off of. I've got a selection of handmade, we've got some netting here, we've got some lace, we've got some netting, we've got some Indian blocks. We've got stencils, modern stencils, so we've got modern stencils, we've got paper, and this is just the waste off of some sort of embossed sticker. So this is just the waste that would have gone in the bin. So let's put this to one side. Now, due to the size, I've also got some pre-cut paper. So all I've taken is a sheet of A4 paper and cut it into 4. So I've just folded it and cut it. To try and help us and aid us when we want to put our prints back down, because we're going to do at least 2 prints on each piece of paper, I'm going to put one of our sheets underneath. And this way we can try and marry it up. This will give us a guideline as to where we're going to place our piece of paper over the top, so you can see where we're roughly marking it. I'm going to wet the gelatin plate, just give it a quick rub down, so just prior to being used. So we're just going to rub that around the outside edge. I caught that a little bit with my knife just a second ago. There we go, and I'm also just going to wet my brayer. Now you can use any variety of acrylic paint, you can really have a play around. So I've got this acrylic here, I'm going to apply it onto my plate. You don't want to saturate, as you can see it's a small plate, so we don't need a great quantity of paint to go on top. With my brayer, and I'm holding the glass underneath, we're just going to start by putting a layer across. Now bearing in mind this is the first time this has been used, and we want it rather translucent so you can actually see the paper underneath. Here is my sheet for the runoff, so I'm just going to take my excess paint and run it off like so, and turn it so it sits on its prongs. First thing I'm going to do is apply this lovely letting or stroke lace over the top. So that's sitting on the block. Take a sheet of paper, marry it up with the one underneath, and with the palm of my hand and my fingertips I'm going to apply a bit of pressure and rub all of the paint that I can possibly get up onto this sheet of paper, and we will see if we have got an impression. This is the moment of truth. There you go. Can you see that netting? That has worked beautifully. Now what we're going to do is see if we can get a second one, to be honest with you, because there's still a lot of paint on there. Absolutely no reason why you can't keep using this. You can probably get about 3 prints. So one thing's for sure, the plate works, and that's always a positive sign. So let's see if we can get another print off of it. See, now that's 2. One is obviously slightly darker than the other, and we can attempt to go for the third one. You can pretty much see now that it really is beginning to slowly lack any paint on that block, but we're going to work it in, so I'm working it in quite firmly all around. Let's see what we get, because we can always reprint over the finished product. So this is quite surprising. So that's the third transfer, and now I'm going to remove the netting, and hopefully you may be able to see that there is a pattern. I'm going to take my brayer and another sheet of paper. I'm going to place that lace on that sheet of paper, and with my brayer see if we can get another impression. Waste nothing. Okay, it didn't come out, but it was worth a try. Depending on the temperature in your house as well, in your home, it's very, very, very humid at present moment. I'm not concerned about the fact that this has got this acrylic paint and it's still drying. In actual fact, I'd love it to dry onto this gelatin block, because in a second what I'm going to do now is put a different colour over the top. Let's see if we go for this yellow, because the drier it is, the more likely it is that we are actually going to be able to pull off the impression that that lace has left. So let's gently run this paint across. It's a little sticky. Let's see how we're doing. Okay, yet again, let's see if we can run that across that piece of paper. Waste not, want not. Get ourselves a clean sheet of paper. I'm just turning that back over so. And let's see if marrying that up with our paper underneath, let's see if this has successfully worked. It's going to be interesting. Let's do a little pull. Let's see if the paintwork has worked. There we go. Let's give a demo and let's see how this is done. Not too bad. I've seen better. So let's move on. What I'm going to do is take my damp cloth and give it a quick wipe across the block. There we go. Give it a quick clean. I'm actually not too concerned about our brayer, but I will just give that a quick wipe because the yellow and the green is all mixing there. So, and I think we'll give the lace a quick go. So, I'm going to put that down. That's cleaned. That's going up there. And this is the lace here. So this is some fabric lace. Start with a lighter colour underneath. Let's go for this other green. Taking our brayer. Just little light strokes, that's all that's required. Yet again, we can run that off onto our paper, and don't you worry, this will either get written on, re-stamped, or I'll make a little envelope. Nothing goes to waste. Let's lay our lace on top. Let's find another sheet of paper, like so. Marrying it with the one underneath so that way it marries up nicely, and this will become more evident when we go back over the other sheets of paper. And let's see if this one is going to do a nice successful transfer. Okay, it's not as impressive, but we have got a transfer, and yet again, let's see how many we can get off of this particular block. And I think what we'll do is we will attempt to put some red on the top in a second. So you need to start thinking about what you've got in your home. If you've got plastic stencils, then absolutely fabulous. Then they can all be used. And if you've got something like Vanish, detergent that will clean and take away stains, they're great for soaking your stencils and also your brayer in. There we go, and so that was my second pull off of there. Now what I'm going to do is pull off this lace. Now this one I'm hoping will give us a nice impression. And a sheet of clean paper, put that down. Try and drop that gently on there. And see what we can do, if we can get an impression. No, it's all a matter of trial and error. So we know we've got a little bit of the green acrylic paint just drying. Ideally, in an ideal world, we let that dry till the point that it is literally touch dry. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to put some red over the top. Ideally, you could, if you wanted to, put, instead of a white piece of paper underneath, you could actually write on the piece of paper, because we actually don't want to apply so much paint that you cannot see the writing underneath. You want to be able to see it, and that is a good indication. Now you can see this is all going a bit mottled. I am going to apply a little bit more paint, because it does seem to be stripping it off of the gelatin plate. Having the adverse effect here, isn't it? No, I think we've just literally dried it and removed everything that was ever on that gelatin plate. So let's rub this off onto our sheet of paper. It's a matter of I'm learning at the same time as you. I'm just going to use this scrap. It's got a little bit of the lace and a bit of the green. I'm going to pull it right off of the sheet, off of this gelatin block, and then I'm going to give it a wipe down with the wet cloth. Still obviously quite sticky. So that is in need of a lot more work, but we can salvage that a bit later. So let's just clean this block. And hopefully we'll have another go. And you can make loads and loads of lots of intricate pieces of paper. So clean the block. Probably would be sensible to clean the brayer. What we done whilst we were being taught how to do jelly printing, we tried out a big selection of different paints. I'm obviously just sticking to one variety here for the moment, but they all do work differently, especially on a jelly plate in comparison to a gelatin plate. The difference being that this natural one is a little bit sticky. It's got sugar in it. That's part and parcel of its makeup of how this one is made. There we go. And obviously the technique of how you roll this. There does come a point, as you found out earlier, where it strips the colour straight off of it. There we go. Let's put that on there. Let's find something else to use. I'm going to use this waste here. Lay that down. Grab myself another piece of paper. Marry it up. And then in a second we'll see if we can put some different texture in. See if we can alter things in different ways. Pull this up. There we go. See if we can get another pull off of there. Here again. Another one. I'm going to take this off of here. Don't think that is dry enough, but just a minute ago we used that, didn't we? So I'm going to pull this off, and then I'm going to apply that on there, hidden the brayer. Let's see if that is still damp enough to transfer across. Again, not necessarily successful, but I'm going to give everything a go at least twice. And I'm just going to pull this. I'm not actually going to put enough colour over the top because I'm not having much success. So let's see if it's left a transfer, or we've got a ghost underneath. There is a form of a ghost on there, but not much. Right, let's clean this block. go. You guys are learning at the same rate as I am. So we've got a clean block. What should we do now? Let's apply this red. I had trouble with this earlier. Let's see where we go with it. Ooh, getting a little darker now, aren't I? Not necessarily going to see underneath. Right. So that's the red applied. Everything's sticking. Put that to one side. Put our brayer there. Turn this over. We have a clean sheet. Also, don't forget, a pair of tweezers can be helpful. I'm going to take this feather. I'm going to put this feather. Let's swap it over because it naturally wants to fall like so. It's got our feather. Another sheet of paper. Marry it up. Press it down. Let's see what we get with a feather. Oh, look at that. That come out nicely, didn't it? Going to take the feather, put that down, run across with a brayer. Don't know if there's anything that will transfer. There, off it comes. So we just got a little impression of the feather, and as you can see where it has been pulled off of the block. Right, move that across. Now, nearly dry. I'm going to marry this up with a sheet of paper and see if I can get that feather to come across. As I said, giving it a nice amount of pressure. Let's see. There we go. What you can't see, I can actually see the nice little lines of the feather in there. And what we can do, I gave a tutorial on a Corsatina book, and we can actually take sections out of this and put it into our Corsatina book if we need to. So we've used some lace, we've used a feather, we've used some waste, we've got the option of putting some leaves. These are just come back from my visit to Oxford, so we've just got these unusual style leaves that we can put in. So I've got about 3 of those, so let's apply a different colour. Let's go for orange. I'm just working straight over the top. I'm not too sure if I should have wiped that, shouldn't have wiped that. We'll find out how sticky that is going to be in a few more seconds. I would turn around and say, from the feels of things, I probably should have wiped it down first with a little bit of water. I'm going to leave it there because I feel as if that is just going to start ripping off the paint. As you can see, run that down. Let's apply these leaves in there. See if I can get this third one on top with this little split. There we go. Let's get another piece of paper. Right. go, look at that. It's worked as a lovely resist. And have we got a piece of scrap here? So we've got this one. Let's have a look what we've got on the back. We've got a bit of red going on there. That's orange. I'm going to pull these off. It is about working quickly when you're in a humid heat. We've got a little bit of transfer. Not brilliant. Where's those tweezers? Let's turn that brayer the other way around as well. And this is, there we go, an ideal time to use them. Put that on top, brayer again. Okay, it's not done much, but it has transferred a few lines onto it. We should still have those leaves on there. I'm running out of paper here. Let's apply that over the top and see where we're going. There we go. There's a few leaves on there. Right, what I'm going to do is stop for a second. These guys need to dry and then we're going to rework them.